Hi, this is Ansari Sama. So now in this initiative of PhD Abroad University, today we have Umar with us, and he did his master's from NIT Warangal, and now we will talk with him regarding various process of PhD Abroad University, how to apply. He has applied more than 22 universities around the globe, and we will discuss with him and let's begin. So hi Umar,
Yeah, hello, Ansari. How are you?
I'm fine. So can
No.
you tell about yourself, like from your BTech to PhD small journey?
Yeah, sure. Actually, so I'm 2015 pass out from electrical engineering. I did my bachelor's from AMU, Aligarh, and then I did my master's from NIT Warangal in altogether a new branch that's chemical engineering. And then I did my second master's, and I will tell you why, in University of Manchester. That's in England. And then I finally got a PhD in University of Sheffield. That's again in England, UK. So that's how me.
So, as you told that from your that you have applied more than 22 universities.
Mm-hmm.
So from now, most of the people are pursuing masters in first year. Might be they will be entering the first year. Might be some people will be getting to second years. So you tell what process one should begin from right from first year so that they can start the application as soon as possible. Also, what are the different process are there to apply PhD in different universities? Right, many people don't know like how to begin, how to start, which
Yeah.
exam, when to give exams.
Yeah. That's a very good question. So actually, I will just compare between the Indian PhD and the foreign PhD to get a better knowledge that what is the difference actually, because people are unaware of foreign PhD. They think that it's same as Indian PhD, the course curriculum as well as the application format, but it's not. Okay, so what's the difference? See, the foreign PhD looks okay. First of all, foreign PhD doesn't take any test. So you are from IIT Ansari, I know that. So you have been undergone through test to get a PhD in IIT Madras.
Yeah,
Yeah. So because there is no test in foreign PhD, so they lay emphasis on your background, full background. So what's your background? It's not also about masters. It goes back further to bachelor's. So it goes there. So you have to build your background. Okay, if you are late also, means for example, you were sleeping in bachelor's and then you woke up in master's. So okay, fine. But still, they will look at your bachelor's first, your merit, whatever you did, like training, your workshop, everything, bachelor's level. Then you come up to masters. So for anybody or many guys in masters, I will advise that from the day one, they should look forward that first of all they need to clear the basics of any subject they are in masters, because what the foreign PhD or sorry foreign universities do is, if you are lucky enough to be selected, you will be undergoing interview sessions. So in that interview sessions you will be grilled, and that would be a bad grilling sometimes, because you will be asked across the Skype. Three students will be there, or four, or maybe five, and then you will be asked separate questions, and that will be like a grilling. So first of all, the basic thing, you have to master your subject. And since in masters there are many subjects, okay, pick up the few ones which you are liking that. Okay, so then the second thing is, now here, until here the Indian PhD and foreign are equal, because Indian PhD also wants that you should be very much perfect in your subject in masters, otherwise they won't take, IITs won't take. But now there is a catch. The Indian PhD asks for, come here and we will have a test interview session. There is no test interview session in the foreign PhD. The second thing you have to do is, you have to get good contacts by the teachers, lecturers, readers, whatever. How to do that? Just email them and ask if you have vacancy. But that email should be also very much like very much of sound, and not like, okay, do you have vacancy? No, not like that. You have to tell about yourself first, a brief introduction about yourself, and then ask politely that, do you have vacancy, professor, and I'm really interested in your particular subject. For example, if you are mass mailing like a bullet, tuk, 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 you're mass mailing to every professor of that university, they come to know that you are mass mailing. So don't do that. First of all, read that profile and go into the, what you say, research interest of that professor. If you understand the research interest, then go into his papers and then write an email what you liked about his paper and what you want to do. Just like a little bit brief, not much, because he has no time to read also. And then you can gain his attention, and that's how you gain his attention. So once the professor is convinced that this guy is the guy, then your 50% part is done. Then comes your English, then other stuff, which is your English exam and all that. Because English exam becomes futile when the professor doesn't agree. Okay?
So sending mail, it should be from official mail or like of which college, or it should be like any Gmail ID, Yahoo mail ID, right?
Okay, so that's a good question. See, try to mail it from your official school, university, or whatever, or maybe if somebody are employed. So that what is it? A company mail, because that looks a little bit authentic. Otherwise, if you're mailing from omarxyz@gmail.com, okay, it still adds to the value, but a little bit less. So every point counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Summation. Okay.
And also, which exams are required, because there are lots of confusions are there between IELTS, GRE, and TOEFL exams. So also one should give all the exams, or should be only one
No.
exam sufficient?
No, see, the target of your foreign PhD, first of all, decides on your destination. For example, if you want to go to South Korea and not USA, not UK, then your only purpose should be IELTS or TOEFL. So IELTS and TOEFL are interchangeable. Like you can give either IELTS or TOEFL. You don't need to give two. But you want to go to USA, the United States, then GRE is compulsory along with TOEFL or IELTS. Again, I'm saying TOEFL and IELTS are interchangeable. You want to go to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia wants GRE. He wants that. He won't take without that. So you want to go to Singapore. Singapore, GRE. So this is like you have to go to each country-specific exams. You want to go to Germany. So Germany, sometimes only IELTS or TOEFL. Some universities, like what you say, TUM, Technical University of Munich, both. They ask for both. So that's a little bit like confusion. Yeah, true. But then you have to sort out that what is your destination country. You want to go to Europe. Except Germany, most of the Europe, IELTS and TOEFL. That's it, done. Canada, IELTS and TOEFL, done. USA, GRE. Singapore, GRE. So like that.
One more question is, when should begin of applying, because of, for example, if there's a 2-year MTech program is there, so one should start applying to professor, or one should start mailing to professor, like how prior to, before the admission process?
So I will tell you about my story, and this will clear everything about what I did and what I should not have done, or what I should have done to get a PhD or a better PhD. So what happened, that when I entered NIT Warangal, I was not sure. I am just like an ordinary guy. I was not sure that I am going to go abroad, honestly. So what inspiration drove me to go to abroad there, when I saw the profiles of NIT Warangal professors. All are from PhD abroad, many. And then when I saw IIT professors, like I was just one time IIT Kharagpur, I was just scrolling, top, and I saw many professors from abroad. I say, whoa, that's a catch. Means India loves abroad universities. Oh, India has that. Yeah, and it's true that if you are coming abroad, India has that like affinity that they will catch you first. So this all curiosity happened to me when first year ended. So I was at loss. So I will advise anybody who is entering masters that, okay, put on your first foot, that strengthen your basics, because in first year of masters in India, there is no research work. So that's a sorry thing, but it's okay. Get your basics cleared, because on the second year, first day, you are into research work. That's my point, because I was weak in my control system subject, which was my subject. I was weak. So on the second year start, I had to brush my first year subjects first, because professor said, okay, I went to my professor in NIT Bangalore and I said that, professor, I want PhD abroad. He said, okay. So, okay, professors also know. So professor said, okay, then you need paper, right? I said, yeah, that's why I came to you. So he said, okay, so I gave you this subject, XYZ. and you have to do research in that. And I was zero in that subject because in the first year I just played. Because if you want to pass, just pass. No, 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 not just pass. Okay, good pass. Also, you don't need to be so much into fundamentals. Okay, you just 1 week before the exams and you just cram the subjects and then you mug up and write. I also made it that, and that got me around a handsome of 7.6, 7.6 in the first year. That's done. I'm happy. But in the second year, I didn't know anything. So professor said that, okay, I give you this topic, learn it. So that's my advice to the juniors, that don't waste your first year. And then the second year, your question, when to contact. Okay, so as soon as you have passed the first year, just wait and do your level best to get at least one conference paper. Because once you don't have any skill in research, okay, because you are going to doctorate philosophy, right? Philosophy, yeah. So you have to at least have to show some proof, and that too online. So online proof means some evidence. What is that? A little conference paper, because journal takes time, and that's true. 6 months, 12 months. Oh, that's big thing. So at least one conference paper if you have, then you write to professor, and then you have to write it very, very like showing your earnest desire, like a true desire that, oh, you are meant to be under his guidance, like that. Okay, and that comes in the month of March. Second year starts when? In the month of July. So when you are studying, July over, comes March, the next month. So if the next month of March you have something on the internet, that's a big thing. But still, that's not all. Because one constant paper, many have. Because in foreign PhD, like all over the globe, they apply, and not you only. In India, only Indians apply. You know that, but not abroad. Abroad, you have a competition with everybody, so it's a big competition. So I should maintain that abroad is a marathon. Indian is a sprint race. Sprint race is very fast and finish, but marathon. So you have to be building your profile like this. And in the meantime, you can go to international workshops. There are many international workshops. Go there. There are many Coursera courses. Go there. There are many edX courses. Go there, because you have to build your profile. Okay, research papers do count, but I'm saying building means a full 12, like 360-degree build-up profile, and not just only on papers. Because okay, fine, if you are lagging in papers, your other international workshops, your Coursera courses may lift you. Okay, in that way, if you are by March end or April you apply, and that I apply means what? Applied means doesn't mean apply on the application. Again, this is the difference between IIT and abroad. In IIT, applying a PhD means apply the application form. That doesn't mean abroad. Apply means email the professor for his consent. That means apply. And when he says fine, then you open the application form. Because in application form, there are many forms which mentions write the name of the guide you want, and you have nothing. If you haven't contacted, you have nothing. So these are mostly okay.
One more question is like many of question arises like if they did MTech in some other domain, like in energy or material science, and if they want to switch the PhD in some other domain, it is possible or not? Like it may create a hindrance during the application. Like the MTech is in the other domain and the PhD they want some other domain, very different.
Okay, so I will take again my example, because I did MTech in chemical engineering, and I was applying in electrical engineering, because I was bachelor's in electrical engineering. But unlucky of me that in NIT Warangal there was no control system in electrical engineering. That's my sad point. So I was in chemical engineering control, but I wanted an electrical engineering control, because I was told that if you want to go in academia, the line of this lecturer read and all that, so you have to be in that own branch, parental branch, the same branch which you started with. So I started applying this writing to professors. So professors did mention that, oh, you are coming in electrical. Do you know that? So I said, fine, I will show proofs. Again, evidence counts. Evidence means what? Like if you have something in that branch, like for example, you are saying you are in physics and then material science. If you have some evidence that you have some research work, something. See, brother, if you are saying, oh, I will do good in material, doesn't is not a very solid evidence. You have to show some proof. And what proof? Okay, you can go for some small conference, and at your own level, by your own purchasing of the fees, you publish some material science paper if you're in physics. Okay, just that's the proof. Or show something else. Okay, and followed by a very strong email. But last but not the least, research proposal. If you make a good research proposal, even if you have all these none, and a good research proposal, then also it will make him think or believe, and yeah, you can change the branch. Because brother, if he gives you or if he pays you, he will not take you can say beginner in that field, or because he's paying you and it's his loss. For example, IITs won't also take, no. IIT is also paying from MHRD, and IIT is thinking that, oh, physics person coming into material science engineering, oh man, this is my loss. So you have to prove him two times. One in RP. RP means research proposal. Make a solid research proposal. And secondly, in the interview, prove him.
One more question, like there are various PhDs are there across the globe. So scholarship wise, in which university maximum scholarship one can ever, because most of the students from India, from middle class, they want the maximum scholarship, or they want fully funded scholarship. For that, countries they should prefer, and how to avail fully funded scholarship, like you have getting fully funded scholarship. So what is the process for that?
Okay, so see, the fully funded scholarship is again a competition wise, because as I told you, full globe applies in that. But again, there are some favorable countries. Okay, I will mention some favorable countries in Europe also. They give more than the other European countries. Okay, one stance is Netherlands. Okay, Netherlands gives scholarship. Okay, they are not very liberal that, okay, come, we are having so much money. No, but they still give much more than the other European countries. Germany is also in race with Netherlands. Okay, they also give that. Okay, UK is just very poor, so you don't expect UK to give anything, because they choose their own British nationals first. They say, okay, we will give our students first. Okay, Sweden is the third country in Europe that gives a scholarship, and they are liberal. Okay, so now it's Europe is over. Now comes the USA. USA is known for one thing: they buy the brains, and that's what make them very developed. They really buy the brain, because if you see in England, UK, in Sweden, in Germany, in most of the European countries, they say first comes our nationals, our citizens. Then, if there are some seats left, come on, we'll take you. But USA, there is no criteria, or you can say no reservation for Americans. No, there is no. So, for example, you can compete with an American at the same level, and there is no reservation like, okay, first come Americans. No. So that's the beautiful thing of USA, that USA gives scholarship. Okay, there are not so many, but competition is very equal. So in that equal competition, that means you are bound to be taken more than Europeans. Okay, and then there is a country, South Korea. They also give in Asia. They give a lot of scholarship, followed by Japan. Okay, but when I say lot, again, that doesn't mean that they are like spending lots of money. But okay, their competition is less. So first of all, the strategy should be such that where the competition is less. See, the crowd is running after UK, USA. Okay, so go some, if you can't go right, go left, right, like that. So if you go to Poland, you go to Hungary, you go to Czechoslovakia, you go to South Korea, you go to Japan. In that, the crowd is still less. So that's some idea. Okay, you have to, like, this is the strategy. If you're running into UK, Sweden, Germany, France, oh, then there's a competition, because the crowd is running there. Okay.
So how to avail the scholarship? Is there any websites are there, or any other sources there?
So scholarship, there are there's a very good website which I referred to when I was searching for that, and this website is known as scholarshipdb.net. Okay, so that website, scholarshipdb.net, okay, contains all the scholarships, really. And not only scholarship, fully funded PhD. That means that if you are getting a PhD, 1+1 offer, scholarship is free. So like that. So there's a scholarshipdb.net, and that's a beautiful website for all over the world. Scholarship. Otherwise, also there are so many, like in say commercial sites that you can get there, but then you have to be very much every time looking into that. that okay, today is this, like that. Because what these commercial sites do is that they also search into privately into these public universities. For example, one commercial site is searching every day into UK universities every day, and when one university posts something on their timeline in their website, the commercial site takes that and displays it in their website. So the only way or shortcut is through these commercial sites, because one cannot Google every day into these hundreds of public universities. That's very impossible. There is no portalized like that, but you can trust them. And I trusted scholarshipdb.net. Okay, that was really good and really, really beneficial. And I would strongly recommend that.
So about the now you're pursuing PhD in UK. So what is the average duration of your PhD? Like it's 4 years, it's a time bound, or it's like it may vary. Like unless in India the scholarship we are getting is for 5 years only. Apart from that, if the year extended like 5.5 or 6 years, we will not be getting any stipend after 5 years. So what
Hmm.
is the condition in UK? Like a duration of the PhD and what is the average stipend if someone doesn't get fully funded scholarship?
Okay. See, in the UK or in anywhere across, first of all, I'll tell you about the UK. In the UK, 3.5 years, it means 3.5 years, is the average time you will get scholarship, and then they will stop. And 4 years is the full stop of your PhD. If you're like lagging behind 4 years, then you have to plead for mercy that please extend my time and all that stuff. So that's a big thing. So in the UK, now this is the UK timeline. But in across the world, there is some timeline like you said about India. So 5.5 years, and then you have to plead for mercy. So unfunded, now she's speaking. Unfunded also in UK, 4 years is full stop. Unfunded means what? You are spending your own father's money or maybe your loan money. So that's 4 years in the UK. In other parts of the country, more than that, but also unfunded doesn't account that, oh, they are not paying you anything, so you can spend the money on your own because you're living there, you're using their resources, but on your own money.
And one more question is like about this one, like about the Indian culture. Like most of the people who will be going to India, who from India to UK. So what are the Indian cultures are there like about the residency or cost of living, like an medical insurance and all this health insurance.
So what happened that there are so many Indians, and Indians are everywhere. That's a good news, actually. Indians are everywhere. Yeah. So that's a good news. You won't find any country, I thought, that there is no Indian, because when I was searching, even the professors across Poland, there are some Indian professors there because they are settled there and they got the job and they are there. So Indian culture is everywhere. Now the second question is the price. Okay, so this depends on the economy of the country. For example, if you're going to a poor country like Hungary, okay, so in Hungary, 1 Indian rupees is 4 Hungarian forint, means Indian rupee stronger there. That's a good news. Like for example, you are bringing 100 rupees, 100 INR, so that goes to 400 Hungarian forint there. But that's a different thing. But if you are going to a strong country like United States of America, there is like little bit less. So okay, so United States of America is costly then, like that likewise. So now health insurance, everything you have to pay on your own money. Why? When you are going to unfunded. Unfunded means yeah, you are going to on, but if you are being paid by stipend, then no need to pay from your own money in any part of the world. They will cut the stipend of yours into your insurance. But if you are going to unfunded, then yeah, sadly you have to pay for everything on your own.
And about the visa, like we get like permanent visa in UK once we get completed a PhD. So like we have to extend a permanent residency about.
Okay, so PR or is the permanent residency in the UK, you have to work. Okay, then only you get. So once you complete your PhD, still you're a student. So I am in the student visa right now. Although I am, I am also like doing a Rolls Royce project. That's a company project, but I'm a student right now. So in UK, there is a condition that 6 years of work you have to do. Okay, as permanent work, not a temporary work, a skilled labor you have to do for getting a residency. Yeah, that's it. And I guess the green card of United States says the same. I guess 10 years or something. Maybe I don't know, 5 years. So
Even
yeah.
I also don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, there is one more thing. Like while applying for PhD, we require letter of recommendation. So
Mhm.
how many letter of recommendation we require? Like we require from one from masters also, and some other from BTech also, bachelors also.
So that was a really, really tricky thing for me. And that's a good question. Actually, what is the point that when they require, because as I told you before, IITs don't require letter of recommendation. Okay, there is some column of LOR, but they don't really see it because, everything is judged on test and interview. So that's a beautiful thing of IIT. I like IIT that way. And here, they also require LOR, letter of recommendation. So you search for your referees, and your referee should be okay. I'm saying for a good LOR. For a good LOR, your referee should be a good professor in the field of research. If he's just like me, just like I'm just a newcomer, so your LOR is weak because I have not much publications, I have not much experience. So first of all, LOR, a referee should be strong in your area. Okay. The second of all, there is such a headache that there are three, sometimes two, letter of recommendation, and when you're filling a form, maybe 10, not 20, 10. So can you imagine? You are sending every time those three professors. So 10 times those three professors are getting that, and those professors get annoyed because they have their own time, they're busy. So they don't even fill to the deadline. So that's a really tricky question. So what I did was I just got my BTech professors, MTech professors, and then I juggled. That first form, these two. Okay, next form, these two won't be there. The next two, like that, like that. Okay, somewhat they get irritated, definitely. But this is the trick you have to do. Otherwise, if you are sending same person 10 forms, he will not do it because I had faced the same thing. I gave one professor from NIT Warangal just three forms, and he said I'm busy. He just filled one, and I got rejected by the two universities because my LOR was not complete. So that's like not in my hand. That was not in my hand. I was rejected from Wellington University of New Zealand because my form was not complete. Wow. So that's a really tricky question that you have to juggle. You have to make sure that the professors don't get irritated because, and you should only two forms go to the professor. That's LOR.
And also, is there any minimum CGPA criteria for MTech? Like most of the people have very less CGPA in MTech, but they publish 2 to 3 papers or they have some internship also. But due to some circumstances, they cannot bring very good high CGPA. They have only 7, 6, 7 CGPA, but they have some conference paper. So it will affect the PhD or abroad university. Like
Yeah,
this was
actually,
one person.
there is some CGPA criteria, and that could be compensated, honestly. So there is not any written CGPA criteria that okay, you have to be among this. Okay, there is not written. Okay, some universities do write that okay, from India we want 6.5. That's it. But some universities do not write anything, but the more the better. That's also true. But CGPA can be compensated. First of all, you have to be very convincing in your email. I will show you my email if you want. That how did I write my email? So that will be great. And
Yeah,
you have
it
to,
will be.
okay, I'll share my screen. I'll show you that how did I write my email to convince the professor. Okay, so this is my email. I opened this. So if you see, this is some professor from some university, Toronto. Okay, this is Canadian University, Toronto. So what I wrote is some little bit brief that what I want is I want a PhD in spring, autumn intake. Then about myself, that what is my education till now. Then what is my research area, or you can say interests. Then you can check here is I have seen the interest in your area, and some of them align with mine. Okay, and then if you have see this professor, I didn't understand that what interest I had because I was just mass mailing. But I would strongly recommend just write few lines that what interest. Like for example, he is doing some optimization techniques, and he has published some journal in optimization. So just write 2 lines that nonlinear optimization of your paper was so much interesting to me, and I really want to step further in that. And then I promise that I will prove my worth. Thank you for my time. Thank you for your time. And then a CV, followed by a CV. That's all. Okay. And I'll show you the research proposal also. Research proposal is very important, and that's what you mentioned. And that if you want to change your branch also, then also, and if you do not want to change your branch also, then also RP is very important. So I started with, this is my idea, and this has nothing to do with the project, because I don't know what project would be given to me. And then I wrote small abstract, small. The introduction and literature review, a very small introduction and literature review. Okay. And then followed by methodologies which I am going to propose, because research proposal means you propose something. And the time frame, that what will be the time frame, I said 3 to 4 years. Conclusion, that what will give what will be the outcome of it. That's it. So it's not more than 2 pages, I guess. No, it's okay, 3 pages. So this is RP. So this is how you have to write RP. And email you should be very strong, to the point, followed by your CV attachment. That's it.
One more thing, like you did MTech from NIT Warangal, and again you did one MS from England only, and then you get into PhD. So is this a correct way, or one can do MTech and then directly jump to the PhD?
Okay,
Like,
so
you
this
did
is
MS also for 1 year.
actually, this is one of the way. I told you before also that these countries, in fact India also, any country will like to take their children first, their citizen first, and not the other way. So for example, their children means their students. For example, I did my master's again, or you can say double master's, and mostly in my class there was one girl also who was from IIT Guwahati. Okay. And when I saw her, I was really like puzzled. Oh, IIT Guwahati masters coming here with me studying. Okay, wow. Because people have now got this catch. This is a trick. So doing a master's, a double master's, when you have a weak profile, or you can say weak profile in terms of research, because when I passed my NIT Warangal in 2018, I had 0 papers, actually 0. So what happened? These emails were actually convincible. Okay, professors were okay. Oh, he's very strong, strongly desired. He has such a great passion for research, but then show me the research, and he had nothing. So what happened? I had to do that. And one of the professors from IIT BHU, who was my, you can say, referee. So he only asked me, Umar, okay, either you do JRF. JRF is a Junior Research Fellowship in which you get a paper. Because finally you have to get a paper. Paper means in the form of, okay, brother, paper, conference, there are many. So you don't fool it, okay? Because they know it. Many means you have to get in a very good conference. Then very good means at least in some very top level, like if there is a conference at IIT Bombay where the chances of selection is 2%, there you have to get into it. If you are only aiming for conference and no journal, only conference, then a very top level conference of the country, point blank, that's it. Okay, but I had just nothing. So that professor from IIT BHU said to me, okay, Omar, you go into the country where you can do MS. So I chose the UK because 1 year MS, that's it, because I wanted to save time. Otherwise, Netherlands was the best thing. I really loved TU Delft Technology University. That was good. But that was also 2.5 years of master's. So I wanted to save time. That's it. No more love to UK, and honestly. Just I want to save time. So that's why I chose UK and did a second master. And when again I started applying after masters from Manchester, I got a more strong reply within UK. Before that, UK was saying, okay, get your own funds, come here. We will start the research. Before that. Afterwards, they started thinking, okay, we have some funds, let's have some interview session. Because that's the point. And trust me, I applied in TUM, Technical University of Munich. I was rejected. And then I saw the list of selected students. There was one student from Pakistan, and I saw that, what's his profile? Let's check his profile. Because I wanted to know, oh, he's from Pakistan, what's good in his? He has no paper journal, no conferences. But what he had? was the German MS. So I got it. Okay, so these guys take their students first, then only outsiders like us. It's like anybody else. So if you are an outsider, get into a very good top conference, very good, really, and do not compromise that. If you're rejected, then go try again for the next top conference or a journal. Okay, and in that way, you can go for a JRF, you can go for some other research after your masters. You have to do this because you are competing against the globe and not just Indians. Yeah, you just completing full globe, right? So that's more tough than IIT, trust me.
And one more thing is like after PhD, like in India, there is a trend that after PhD only academic is there. Like it's a trend. But what
Mhm.
is the scenario in UK or in other countries? Like once you
Okay.
have applied.
So again, I'm going to compare between India and other universities, sorry, in other countries. To be honestly, I love IIT, and honestly, the reason was IIT's citation per score this year, QS ranking, beats every German universities. Honestly, you can see right now QS ranking 22, citation per faculty beats the top university, that is TUM. That's true. But in India, PhDs or the PhD scholars are not respected. Really, honestly, not respected. Even their juniors, the masters, the bachelors say that, oh, he's a bhai, he's free time, he's passing time. Really, not respected, honestly. So that's why when the people get the PhD, they go, okay, let's hide somewhere in some colleges and teach. Really? Because the companies also don't take the PhD scholars honestly. Okay, IITM and IITB, I'm neglecting them. Okay, I'm talking about the general IITs, the small one, Ropar, Gandhinagar, all that. They just say that, why should I take? I will go for some IITM-B and that's it, no PhD more. And in other parts of the country, sorry, in other parts of the globe, PhD is seriously respected. When I was in Manchester Masters, I was told that, oh, he's a PhD scholar, respect him. I said, oh, really? I'm not used to respecting PhD scholars because I was from Masters and IIT Warangal, really. But then I really gradually got that sense of respect from the juniors. Really, now I'm really getting respect from juniors, like, oh, sir, and all that. Okay, in India also they say sir, but not behind your back. Behind your back he said, oh, this is time pass person. In front of you he will say sir because, okay, you are standing in front of him. That's honestly. In the other parts of the globe, after PhD you have three things. One, go to academia, just like India. Go to academia, obviously you go to lecturer, reader, research, professor. Okay. The second is go to industries. And honestly, that's the same criteria. In India, it looks like, oh, it's funny that PhD scholars are applying for MNCs or multinationals, but abroad, it looks like it's okay. PhD scholars should apply. So RR, Rolls-Royce, takes them. Rolls-Royce is a UK company, but otherwise also, there's also Pantene company that takes them from chemical engineering branch. So they take them. Third, you can start your own startup, but then you have to get funded from university, and university does fund it because again you have to get the university logo hologram. So if you get the hologram, university hologram, so there are three options after PhD. One is academia, second is industry, and you get the job. Honestly, you get the job. Third is your own startup funded by only university. And IIT Delhi is the one university I still remember. I don't know about others, Bombay and Madras. That IIT Delhi is like converting the scholars or PhD scholars project into some startups. I don't know if it's true or not. I read somewhere. Otherwise, in India, there is like only academia, academia, academia. No more than academia. Post PhD, after PhD, or P postdoc in India, postdoc, because those guys only go abroad and then they find, oh, okay, now we can go to industry, because really outside research is really respected here, brother. Really, not in India. Research is respected only among the circle, only among your circle. Like your scholars will respect you, your professor will respect you, maybe, but your juniors won't. They'll say, okay, the time passes. Really.
So I think there is a lot of exposure will also be there, like who is pursuing PhD apart from academics also, because even I also feel like overall development is also required as a PhD scholar, which I think is which we are missing in India.
Obviously, there are so many things. Actually, I get so many emails every day. that go to this fest and organize this, go to that and organize that, and go to this event and organize this. And I said, okay, this is very like unlikely for me, for a master student also to get these emails in his college email ID, to get these post exposures, because as far as the master student or a PhD student, he is only considered to go a bookworm, become a bookworm. Really, that's it. And that's, if he becomes a good bookworm, sorry, then he is really like, oh, he is the best one. But no, there you have to be everything. Yeah, you have to organize, you have to go prepare a speech, but these are all things they will take care into account, that your PhD course or scholars whatever is not compromised. Like for example, you're only doing functions and all that other events extracurricular, that's not compromised. I guess this small part of things are followed in big IITs, Madras, Delhi, maybe Bombay. But small IITs or NITs, no. Become a bookworm, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Seriously, I had my seniors in NIT Warangal, and they had really day and night slogging for hours, 2 a.m. in the research lab. Ah, really? So I was brought up in that environment, and when I came in Sheffield, I was seeing that, okay. When I asked one senior that please guide me in the first year how to study in the first year. He said enjoy. And I said wow, enjoy. He said no, enjoy, really enjoy. He just start, okay, see, 3.5 years, that's it. And he said in the first year also enjoy. In UK, 3.5 years they will pay you. 4 years you have to complete yourself. That's it. And 1 year he said enjoy. But okay, it's fine. He was joking, but still, you have a lot of other exposure apart from this. And exposure also is there between you can say colleges or universities. Like Sheffield will send me to other college or university. Okay, go there as a, what can you say, visiting research and all that stuff. Yeah, you have to go there because that's a part of your curriculum. So that's also exposure is there.
That's wonderful. So one more thing, what is the academic structure, like the core structure of PhD, like in India, in IITs, if you see the 1 year is dedicated to course only, like, and then the remaining 4 years or 4.5 years dedicated for research work. So what is the like the core structure in UK, in your
Hmm.
university or in your in overall the university of
So
India?
in the UK and Europe as general, in the UK and the Europe both, the course structure is that there is no coursework, there is no bridge work, there is nothing. Like first year you enter and then go into the project. Damn. No more like, okay, you have to own study. You open the YouTube, you open other Coursera courses, you open other bridge courses, you open do whatever you want in your 24 hours time. Stipulated time is 24 hours. That's it. In India, I like that thing, which is in India or in the US. In the US also same thing. There is 1 year that is known as coursework here, bridge here, that they teach everything, and that's good actually, because okay, all of a sudden in masters you are still spoon feeding, and in PhD you bam, first day do it everything on your own. So it's a little bit hard. It was a little bit hard for me honestly, and I was looking like, okay, someone should spoon feed me, at least give me some papers. Which paper should I read? But there is nothing like, okay, you have to go on your own. You are fully independent. You waste your time, you pass your time, you study your time. All your time is yours. So full day you are free, or you can be busy. But in India or in the US, this is good thing, that 1 year you are like a class student. You are spoon fed. You have to pass the exams also. You will be judged on CGPA also. Everything will be like normal school masters thing. In the second year, you are on your own fit. Like, yeah, fine. That's why 1 year is less in the Europe. Yeah, really. In the Europe, the PhD is 4 years. That's why 1 year they actually like cut it from the main thing. So they don't have coursework here. That's something which I miss it. Really, honestly. I wanted
And also,
coursework.
people in India deciding like they want to do their MTech in India and they want to do your PhD abroad, and then they postdoc and there only in some abroad only, and they come back to India as a professor in IITs and ISC and NITs. So, what is the course part like? If you face any of your friend or and you know, is this right one?
Actually, this is right or wrong, I don't know. But this is really followed in India. I told you about my experience when what made me inspired about abroad is only this only. all the teachers are from abroad. Really, all IITs abroad. Like not all, I should say. That's a big exaggeration. 60% abroad. Oh, really? IIT Kharagpur 60 abroad. ISC 60 abroad. Oh, what is this, man? This means India loves abroad professors more than theirs. That's the sad point, right? That's again comes back to the same thing. What is respect? They don't even respect their scholars, man. Really. I mean, IIT Madras scholar is going abroad for a master, sorry, postdoc, and coming back again. Why he's spending time and why? Because he wants to, everything is profile building and nothing else. So he wants to build his profile again to do postdoc and then come back. So yeah, this is right or wrong, I don't know, but this is a really major part followed. And I should tell you one very, very good thing. I just remembered from your saying that when my friend, he was a topper in IIT Warangal, he got into IIT Bombay the same year we passed in 2018 in PhD. So he got it. And the professor over there congratulated him saying that, oh, you are getting the best institute of the India. Okay, go postdoc abroad. I wondered why he should go postdoc abroad, man. He should finish his studies and go for some industry or maybe academia. Why he should study after PhD? What is the really? If he has a fire, okay, he should study. But why? Because everything is profile building, and India. He said that you got the best of India. Now you can take postdoc abroad. Why? Because this is the thing, brother. People go there, people add a tag name that is a foreign university tag name, come back. I don't know why we just value everything abroad. I also doing the same thing. That's sad. That's all.
So I guess almost all the question has been clear,
Yeah.
or something remaining. Even I am not getting. Is any question remaining from your side? Like we want to add like about some other countries like UK or some like South Korea or some other Taiwan or
Okay.
other some.
Okay. Some little bit facts. I knew that, so I will tell you that IELTS is not compulsory in all the countries. Okay. Means it is compulsory to show that you are English proficient. Okay. For example, there is a country named Poland. There is a country in what's the name? Hungary. There is a country Greece. Okay, now whatever I'm talking about is the Eastern Europe countries. Now these countries are less technologically developed, but it's okay. People want to go there. Indians go there, so that's why I'm telling you. So IELTS are not mandatory. That if you haven't given IELTS, you will be kicked out. No, you have to show some proof that your bachelor's, your master's was in English by some HOD over there that you know English, and you submit it, you will be accepted. So that's the one thing which is actually important. Okay, and GRE also, GRE is waived off in the USA. Okay, so that's another thing, that GRE is not waived all of the universities of the USA, but most of the universities have waived off due to COVID-19 present situation. That's also good news for the aspirants, that their money will be saved, because these exams cost a lot of money, 13,000 rupees, one exam. Although you can give multiple times, you can give three times a month, but then you have to pay 39,000 rupees. That's all.
Okay, so one last question and we will wind up this session.
Yeah.
What suggestion as a senior suggestion would like to give? Like you are already pursuing PhD in UK, so as a like a wind up session like this,
Okay, so seriously, if I have to give any suggestion,
or as a senior suggestion only.
I would like to suggest any junior that you have to be very patient. Really, like it really like irritates you when professor doesn't reply, because I showed you how to write the email. Professor doesn't reply, and then professor, if replies, says that we don't have funding. Sorry, be patient. Start. Okay. For universities, I applied for 22, but honestly, I emailed 400 professors, because each universities have 10, 12 professors. So I mailed like mass mail, tuck, 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 like that. So you have to be very patient in that, because one professor should say yes. You don't have to get five professors saying yes. You need one to say yes, and your work is done. Second of all, I'm telling you is that yes, It's all that matters, and not only publication, but publication hugely matters because that's your evidence that you can do research. So try to be very focused from the first day of your masters. Try to get at least a very top conference of your country, okay, or a journal. If it's convenient, get a journal, really, and then you are done. Really, if you get one journal, honestly, you are 80% near to selection, because honestly, all over the globe, many master students do not get anything. So what happened? There are only 2 3 seats under one professor, and if 20 people apply, 20, and if one has a journal, he is selected there before 20. Then 19 fight for 2 seats. Can you imagine? That's what creates lesser competition if you have just one journal. Okay, so ask professor, plead, beg, request, whatever you do, ask him, I need a journal, help me get that from the day one of your masters. And he will try to, because every Indian professor tries to get a paper in his name. Okay.
So all the questions have been covered up. So
Yeah, thank
thank you
you.
so much, Umar.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I'm sorry.